right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Vets in Real Estate podcast. I am joined by John Fatheringham, who is going to talk about his transition from the military into another career and then ultimately into real estate. Hey, John, thank you so much for taking the time and being willing to share your story with us.
Oh, thank you for contacting me.
Yeah. So, John, tell us, what did you do in the service?
I was with the Air Force for 22 years. Started out in security forces, went straight in from high school. During that time, I got involved in Air Force recruiting, Air Force marketing. So I did that for the last few years after doing security forces, and then end up retiring in Los Angeles, California, and then moved back here to San Antonio, Texas.
Awesome. Was San
Originally
Antonio
from
home?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Oh,
So just out of all the time you spent in San Antonio, you're coming back.
yes, yeah. I was down here as an instructor at the Security Forces Academy for a while. So I bought property then and held on to it during PCSs and moved back because it was paid for. So instead of paying rent in LA, why not move into a house that you already own? So
Yeah. So I'm curious. We've had several recruiters that have come onto the show, and all seem to go into sales in some form or fashion. I've heard, at least
yeah.
from the Army, that the best sales school you can ever go to is recruiting command. I mean, is that true? Is there some validity to that? I would imagine getting somebody to sign on the dotted line to do all the things we have to do takes some sales skill. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a pretty intense school that you go through before you can even become a recruiter, at least with the Air Force. And it teaches you a lot. It really opens up your eyes. Uh, Takes somebody who, if you're shy, the recruiting is not for you. Uh, and if you do try it, they will definitely bring that shyness out and open you up to a world because you need to get out there, and you're not selling jobs. You're not selling Air Force. You're changing lives. So you need to get somebody to open up and be willing to change their whole lifestyle. And that's where that was at.
So how is that transition from selling a lifestyle to selling real estate? I mean, are there skills that are the same? Is there some mindset that's the same, or is it
In,
really just two different
in a
things?
way, yes. Because if you think about it, especially for other veterans or military that are PCSing, you're going from one city to another. There's not one city that's the same. So the culture, the atmosphere, the lifestyle in those areas are different. The base may be the same, your job may be the same, but if you're living off base, you learn what's there, what to get ready for, and how to get involved in the community and stuff. So each time you move, you're not changing jobs, you're changing a current lifestyle. So imagine living in Alaska and then all of a sudden you're in Texas. That's a whole different world. So,
A little bit different wardrobe.
yes, it's more than that.
So you did your time till you could retire. Was
Yes,
real estate ever on the horizon? It sounds like you were investing kind of throughout, but was real estate ever on the horizon for you, or?
it actually was when I retired. Then we moved back. The scariest thing is, what do I do now? The only thing I know is recruiting, recruiting and marketing and law enforcement, and definitely too old to be a cop. So I figured maybe I'll get into real estate. Then I started researching it and realized you got to take another school. You got to test. You have to have your license. It'll cost you so much money to get it. So I backed out. I kind of scared myself and talked myself out of it and went with what I know and got involved in federal contracting and became a recruiter for 32 different LLCs. And I mentioned Alaska because they were all Alaska owned companies, and I'm the only guy in Texas. So
Mm. So for the recruiting side, I mean, obviously you did it in the service, you did it as a civilian. Why are you still not recruiting? What happened there? Why the transition to real estate after that?
I did the recruiting with federal contracting for about 10 years. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nationwide. And a lot of my people, I had to move them from one location to another to fill jobs to fit in with the contracts. Helping people move was not part of my job. It was, okay, you got the job, now you need to be there at this time. And that was it. And I started thinking more and more, it felt like PCSing. And I know what it felt like PCSing when you have nobody to help. So I started thinking, well, why don't I do what I originally wanted to do and get in recruiting, or I mean, get into real estate and start helping these people that have to relocate for jobs, whether it's your military veterans or even civilians that have to change. So that's where I started thinking. And plus, it got me out of a four walled, no window office for 10 years to now I'm out in the sunshine every day. So,
I could I can imagine that quality of life changes just a little bit going from sterile government contracting type, lifestyle to, of course, what we all see on TV, right? Selling sunset and everything else.
yeah, well, if you think getting into real estate is like what you see on HGTV, you got another thing coming.
I think we've had a few of the folks that have been on the shows really pull back what the production really looks like, and how it's really all put together where they've already bought the house. It's all for
Yes.
show. All the drama that's going on is all already done. They already know which one they're going to get, and it just seems nuts that there's that much scripting that's already done, and it really may. I mean, I think it almost does a disservice to both the home buyer and seller who thinks, oh, it's just that easy, but also for the realtor who wants to get in is like, oh yeah, in 30 minutes and a couple of phone calls, I can close a $15 million house to somebody who does underwater basket weaving and an axolotl farmer. Like who knows, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I found out the hard way. I've talked to some of these producers, and they were looking for people. And then they explained, well, do you have a buyer that's already closed? What? What are you talking about?
Mm.
So they explained how it works, and you see the shows. I'll show you four houses, and you pick one of the four. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it takes
I don't
more than
know.
that.
It's interesting when you see how it's kind of pulled back, and I don't know. It was shocking to me that that's how the whole game works. But I mean, I get it. It's TV. They're trying to sell a product, and I can see
Right.
it. So you said that you talked yourself out of getting your real estate license 10 years before you got in. Then you decided to go get it. So what did that exam feel like? Was it nearly as scary as what you thought it was? Was there any of that fear again, or?
I was always afraid that I was going to fail it the first time.
Hmm.
They say you can take it three times. Then they tell you, I'm here in Texas, so they say Texas is one of the hardest ones to get. I ended up taking an online course where it was self-paced. It was a
Hmm.
very good course. It taught me a lot. I'm not very good at math, which is a unusual thing to get involved in when it's real estate and finance go hand in hand, but it's very simple to understand. And then when you go into test, to me, they told me it was a 2 hour test. I had it done in 45 minutes, passed it, and then I was off. Of course, you have to find that broker that will bring you in to hold your license. And I happened to know a neighbor who helped me out and got connected that way, and off I was.
So what did that look like? Trying now that you're licensed, you got to find the broker. You at least had a connection. I mean, did you have a clue what to look for? Did you have a clue what not to look for, or was it just kind
No,
of, hey neighbor, come on, let me join, and you thought they were all the same?
I thought they were all the same. I didn't know how it worked. Uh, I am on my second brokerage right now because after learning more about what I was doing, I moved over to EXP now, where I'm at. And what you want to do is you want to find a brokerage that provides a lot of training to help you out. You want to make sure that you have a mentor that will help you out. They won't give you your leads, so you have to do that pretty much on your own. Don't expect somebody's going to hand you something and it's just going to happen. But they'll teach you how to make it happen. And that's what you want is you want the brokerage that'll do that. You want the mentor that'll do that. Uh, just like in joining the military, you come straight out of training, whether it's officer training or basic training, you need those people that teach you what you're doing when you actually get on the job. You know the basics, but how to actually do it, yeah, you need that support. So,
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, and I think that was the same thing in my journey. Was that you got the exam, it's done, and then you realize that 90% of what you learn on the exam has little to nothing to do with your job. It's about protecting the consumer, they're
exactly.
all important things to cover, but most of what you do doesn't make you, whether you got 100 or you got a 71 and just barely passed, that doesn't give an indication of if you're going to be a good agent or not. It's
Right.
simply a test.
Exactly.
So in your first couple of years, did you find you went back to kind of that Air Force recruiting mindset of going out and finding people, or how did you start finding the leads?
Yeah, I got really good with recruiting, not only in the Air Force, but in federal contracting. So I started thinking, why can't I use that same mentality and that same marketing mentality to find people who are looking to either sell or buy? And the biggest thing is networking.
Hmm.
Without networking, you're not going to go anywhere. First thing I did is I started reaching out to everybody that I've already worked with as a recruiter and let them know, hey, this is what I did. I changed and now I am doing this. So if you happen to be looking or know somebody, uh, in recruiting, they call it perpetuation. What's the difference in real estate? You do that. You get out there and you say, hey, this is what I'm doing now, uh, and start working your network.
And did you find people were very quick to just say, "Oh, well, you were my recruiter now. Let me go ahead and buy and sell a home with you," or was there a little bit of apprehension as "Well, how long you been doing this? Are you new? Like, what did that feel like in that process?"
No, because I was telling them I was new, so they knew I was new. The majority of them, I'd say 90% of them, are going to tell you, okay, thanks. If I need some, or if I know somebody, then I'll pass it on. And that's going to be the response. But as long as you keep contact with them and check on them and see how they're doing, that's a good thing. And then you start networking with local realtors or realtors that are in other states because people are moving. I can't do anything outside of the state of Texas. But if I have a friend here that is moving or I know somebody, I can connect them with other individuals. And then you start creating your referral base. So,
So you said you reach out and 90% of them kind of thanks but no thanks, or kind of thanks and we'll keep you in mind. How does that play on the ego? How does that play on kind of the psyche? I think that's one of the things we see, especially if you go into the real estate groups. Oh, my cousin didn't use me, or my best friend didn't use. Like you see that all the time.
right.
And this wasn't family for you, but these were people that you knew professionally, and yet kind of, I don't want to say blew you off, but kind of, was polite about
Yeah,
it.
they did.
How does that play on?
As
How
a
does it play
new
on the
agent,
emotions?
yeah, it's like, okay, this isn't working. Everybody keeps telling you your severe, your influences. You got to contact them. Always contact them. But yet they're telling me, nah, okay, thanks. I don't need anything. So you just learn from that. You learn a lot of the communication styles and how to start talking to strangers and eventually the concept of you being a real estate agent will come out of these communications, these just regular conversations. It happens all the time now. It just flows naturally. I can go to the grocery store and I'm checking out, and you gotta talk. So if you're not talking to the person working there, nothing's gonna happen. You just stare at them, and you got to talk to these people, and eventually you'll be like, oh, busy day, because they'll ask you, how's your day? Well, I got to show a house to somebody who's buying. Now you just told them what you do. And if they're interested, or they'll tell you, well, my mom is looking to sell her house. Now you have something to go with. You just have to talk naturally and it comes out.
See, I think the natural is what is where I think a lot of agents, especially new, miss. Is especially when you jump on the phone, you start cold calling, get right into a sales pitch. If you go out there and door knocking or whatever the case is, you go right to that sales pitch. But that natural conversation, how do you focus on keeping it natural versus the scripts and the gee whiz way of doing all these cool sales tricks? I mean, how do you just have that natural conversation?
For me, that would have been unusual to do until I became an Air Force recruiter,
Mm.
and you just learned how to do it. They teach you how to do it. So to me now, it's just a force of habit. It's natural. Obviously, you can tell I talk a lot. So so I can just start talking to anybody at any point and about anything. Uh, I'll find something. If they're reading a book, I'll ask them what they're reading, and next you know, you're holding a conversation. So
See, I
you
think
got to
there's
think of
something
it like dating.
okay. No, I think there's something to that as well because I think so many people, especially coming into the industry, it's no joke. The failure rate inside of our industry is absurdly high. 80,
Yes.
90% of the people don't last 2 years. And I think some of it is many are stuck in an employee mindset. They're used to here come work, here's the leads, here come do it. Whereas going out there when they realize that they get the commission breath or they get the desperate because they got to close something, that comes out. But I mean, what you're saying is you're just having normal conversations with normal people. And if real estate comes up, which, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, then that's just natural.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's just natural. Every conversation, real estate will come out one way or another. Because if you ask somebody, so what do you do for a living? No, normal thing is they'll ask you the same thing. They'll
Hmm.
tell you, and then they'll ask you that same question. There you go.
So for somebody who, if you were coaching a new agent that was just struggling on having these conversations, I mean, what is there a way that you would tell them approach or certain places to go to start meeting people, or what would that look like if you were coaching a new agent trying to
Okay.
figure out how to network better?
Think of the neighborhood or the area of the city or town that you would love to work in. Start putting yourself in that area. For me, I live on the far west side of San Antonio, but I'd love to work the north side, which is where your $1 million homes are. So
Mhm.
you go there, you go to the coffee shops, you go to the stores, you walk in the open malls, you put yourself in that area. And that's when you start talking to people. You sit down at a coffee shop by yourself, you'll see somebody on their computer or reading their book. You don't want to interrupt them, but there's always a way to open up some kind of conversation with them by asking them what they're doing, or sit there with your books out that have real estate in it. Somebody's going to approach you. So you just got to put yourself in the area that you want to be in.
Okay. So kind of surround yourself with the clients that you want to be. I mean, how does that look? Because we hear this often, especially with new agents. You got to dress the part. You got to buy the white Mercedes. You got to do all these things to look the part.
No.
You're laughing. I mean, what is your thought on that advice?
For me, you got to be you. Just be yourself. Be real. I drive an old 2017 Chevy pickup truck that doesn't look like it's been washed since I bought it. But I'm driving around where everybody has the Mercedes, the Maseratis, and me in my Bucky's t-shirt. So I'm not in a suit I'm just me. You're going to see me as who I am. And that is what they would want.
So being authentic is really what you're saying, is being
Yes.
authentically you, but in the area where you want to build business.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, just don't try to be something you're not. The moment you're doing something that you normally wouldn't do, people will know that. And the last thing you want to do is come across as a fake. And next you know, you're getting reviews or marked in Facebook groups saying, "Oh, don't work with this guy. He's so fake." And it's so obvious when you are. And it's the same with us when you learn what kind of clients are out there. And somebody says, "I'm looking for this," or "I'm looking for that." You just gotta dig a little deeper to make sure you're working with the right people. So
Fair enough. So have you found that most of your business is coming from non-military, or have you found kind of going back and a lot of your business is working with those, military service members that you knew, or it's military city USA, right? So San Antonio is a big military
right,
town to begin with. Have you kind of found that your book of business leans one way or the other?
I'm a more 50-50.
Okay.
So I'm helping a lot of people with rentals. That's one thing that I didn't even know when I was serving, that an agent can actually help you find a rental.
Hmm.
And if somebody wants to make a lot of money in real estate, rentals is probably not the way to go. But if you just want to make a couple of $100 here and there, that works. And I have no problem doing that. Uh, Individuals need to find a place to live. And when you're PCSing in, or if you're just a civilian moving to San Antonio and you're not ready to buy, I'm here to help you. Because eventually, yeah, you'll want to buy and you'll remember who actually helped me out.
Yeah, I would say I could see that being that lead source is while you take the renter in, and when we looked at, possibly moving at one point in time, we were going to rent for a year, figure out where we want to live, and then go buy
Exactly.
something. I would imagine most people have that mindset. I'm going to live someplace, rent it for a year or two, then move once I know where I want to live in town. So as long as that agent is keeping in touch with me, which we've seen other statistics, NAR says something that I think it was 75% of agents or 75% of the consumers would use their agent again if they knew what their agent's name was. And it's kind of sad that you did such a great job. They want to use you again, but there was no follow up, there was no catching up, there was nothing that agents did. So I can imagine a rental side, it would be the same thing. I helped you, they liked
Right.
working with you. John was great. As long as John kept up with me, I'm gonna remember who he was. I'm gonna remember his name and call him when I have that need for that next real estate need.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then, like you said, you looked for a rental to move in. Who helped you find it?
Mm.
You looked in newspapers. Well, I don't even know if they do that anymore. You looked online, you looked at lists at the housing office
Hmm.
for rentals, but you didn't go to an agent.
Right.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, no, it's a great point. So, as you've been in real estate for a handful of years now, do you think has been the biggest shock that I guess you didn't think was going to be part of it, or just kind of was one of those things that you didn't expect?
I expected it to be easy, to be
Okay.
honest with you. I figured, okay, a couple of months, and then all of a sudden you're closing houses, and it's not easy. It's you have to stay on top of it. You got to get your name out there. You have to market yourself. Uh, I thought you would join a brokerage and people would just hand you, hey, go talk to this guy. They're looking. Nope, no, they don't do that. So you have to invest in yourself. Plus, I didn't think it was going to be as expensive as it was at first. So make sure that you do have some funds in the background to pay for not only your license, but to uh, join like the MLS and all that. I didn't realize you had to pay for all that. So they don't teach you that stuff in class. So
What
there's
what were some
always
of the
the
other
expense.
expenses? What were some of the other expenses? So you mentioned MLS. You obviously got to pay if you're on the residential side. You're paying your realtor membership inside your local, state, national association. What
Right.
else out there are you spending money on that, if I'm building a budget, what else are you running into?
Your marketing. If you want to run ads, you need to make sure that you have money to spend for those ads. Let's see, photographers. When you're listing a house, somebody wants to sell you or you want to list a house for sale, you want to have professional photographers working on it. You don't want to walk in with your iPhone and take pictures and put those up. You want something that looks good and professional that'll catch the buyer's attention. So you have to pay for them as well. The average one will cost you $400 to $600. So you need to make sure you pay for that.
I mean, I could certainly see where these start to add up. I mean, was there ever a time where, you had to figure out how to make it happen where you didn't have the income coming in and how to make the deal still happen?
Yes. Yeah. The first one was getting the first time I had a listing and then finding out the photographers. Uh, Not only do you have to find out which ones are worth the time and actually look good, but to pay for that, then that's when I realized, oh, I have to pay for that and pray that you earn that back in commission. Uh, it's it, it was just a surprise to me, but now that I know it's there, that I know that when you do earn a commission, you set aside a certain amount. Always set aside a certain amount for the next deal. So
Yeah. It reminds me when I moved back in from corporate real estate back into third party brokerage, we were chasing rather large deals, spent quite a bit of money of our own money to go out there and get this deal. And like they do, deal fell apart. And we're probably about $10,000 or so into this deal to make it happen, right? And to be fair, the commission was well worth what it was going to be, but the deal fell apart. Um, trying to be the good husband, called my wife, hey, I'm going to be in a terrible mood. The deal just fell apart. I'm just going to need a little bit of time to mourn this breakup. Like, just leave it alone. Well, what do you mean the deal died? How much do we get paid? Well, baby, we get paid nothing. It's all commission, but you put money into the deal. Yes, I did. You don't even get reimbursed for that? No, no, ma'am, I didn't. Like, I'm getting more and more mad at her. I know she's coming from a loving place, but at me, I just need the time to decompress. And finally, she sits there and she's quiet for a minute. And she's like, your job's stupid. I just laughed because I was like, I 100% agree with you at this point. I turned around and worked on this deal for 6 months, put 10 grand worth of money into this deal, and the thing didn't close. And you're right, this does feel kind of stupid at this point. But the flip side of that is if we would have won that deal, my wife would have praised me as a hero. We'd probably still be fat, dumb, and happy on a beach somewhere. I mean, it was a considerable deal. Um, but I think that's one of the things that people don't get, especially if you're coming in, is that there's expenses to run a business. There's expenses you have to live off of. There are so many more expenses that are there. And I think, I don't know if I've ever seen literature on this, but I think that is what many agents struggle with is staying financially solvent, especially through down markets or when they're first starting out. You have to have some financial discipline to be able to make it through all
yes, yeah. Thank God my wife is an accountant, so she
that.
really helps out when it comes down to that. But yes, that is the biggest thing for somebody who's thinking about getting into real estate. You are opening your own business. Yes, a broker holds your license, but you do have to pay them a certain amount of your commission that you go in. But that covers all of your systems that you use, your CRMs and all that. So you still have to run it like it's your business. Even if I'm not on a team, I'm a solo agent, but if you join a team, that may help you out a little bit more than trying to learn things a solo and just a mentor, but it's still your business. It's not the team's business, it's still yours. So, somebody
Yeah,
who's looking to get into their own business, this is probably a good way to go. You just got to be ready for the ups and downs. You mentioned you lost a deal that I can guarantee it's going to happen. My first deal as an agent, I lost. Ninth day of the option period.
Mm.
So,
But I like what you're stressing is that you're starting a business. And I think a
yes.
lot of times I'm gonna get my real estate license. I can sell houses. I know I got friends that want to buy houses. That's a cool job to go walk through pretty houses all day long. And I think that's as far as what a lot of people go until they realize they're actually starting a business.
Right.
That you've got to sit down and look at your financial planning. What does your budget look like? What do all these things happen? And I mean, I think, unless you get with a really great brokerage that really breaks that down for you early on, I think most agents come in and have no idea that they're actually running a business. Just because it says so and so's name on their business card, they are the business.
Right. You are your own CEO. Just like every business, you got your marketing department, that's you. You got your HR department, that's you. You got your finance department, that's you. It's all you.
Yeah.
Eventually, when you get further along, you can start bringing in help. But
Right.
when you're like me and you're only a couple years in, you got to figure it out on your own. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that will help you and walk you through
Mm.
it, but ultimately it's your income that it's affected. So,
Yeah. I think that's interesting because that's one of the things that Gary Keller said a handful of years back, maybe almost 10 years ago now, was he went out and challenged all of the KW agents that you are the CEO. You need to think like a CEO. That is what you are. And at that point, you saw every KW agent put on their title, I'm CEO and realtor. And every one of them were CEO, even though, and I remember it from the outside looking in, from a commercial guy looking in, I'm like, you're the CEO. You're just an agent. You're just an agent. But I think that mindset shifted pretty quickly where you are running a business and you are building that team and you
yes,
are building, whether that team is a virtual assistant, whether that team is a half a dozen other things, you are the one that is building that business.
yes, that's, you can't say it better than that. So,
So, so if you were to look back at your career now in real estate, or you're giving yourself that advice coming back in, to real estate now, what would you tell yourself differently, or what would you do differently if you had that opportunity to have that mulligan?
the first thing I can tell you I would have done different is the first time when I retired and thought about doing it, I would have done it then. Just went for it instead of waiting 10 years. Even though I'd learned a lot in 10 years on how to work with people and understand the civilian world a little bit better, I still would have just done it then. The other thing is, I would have talked to more people before going to the school, talk to different brokers, talk to different agents and realtors, learn what they tell you. Some of them are going to say, don't do it. It's horrible. You got to do that. And some will tell you it's the best decision I made in my whole life. I would have still talked to them all. And I didn't do that. I just went straight into it and started working like I thought I knew what I was doing. No, just make sure that I would have told myself, make sure you're open to criticism, to people showing you, and when they show you, try it. Don't just say, oh well, I'm not going to call people out of nowhere, I'm not going to knock on this door. Just do it, give it a shot. It may not work for you, but you'll find what does.
Love it. I think that's such a great way to wrap everything up. Is that I think there's 1,000 different ways to make money in this business. You got to find what's going to work for you,
Yes.
try them, and find what fits naturally for you. Whether it's cold calling, if it's just naturally walking up to people asking what they're reading, find what works for you, and then double down and work on it.
Yeah, I'm not good at cold calling, I'll tell you that.
It's one of my
But
least favorite things to do.
I'd rather see people face to face. So, and it took me a while to learn that. And does that stop me from cold calling? No, if something comes up, then I'll make that shot. But
Well, John, thank you so much for your time. And for those that are listening, if you found value in this, you have questions, by all means, throw those in the chat, throw those into the comment sections, or if you think somebody else you know would find value to this episode, by all means, feel free to send it to them. John, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for so
thank you.
much for being willing to share your story with us. And we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.